KGEF causes for many years, and for that we are deeply grateful. Madhu is an acclaimed actress known for her memorable performances in films across multiple languages, including Hindi, Tamil, Telugu, Malayalam, and Kannada. She rose to fame with her iconic role blockbuster Rosa, directed by Mani Ratnam, which remains a landmark in Indian cinema. Madhu's versatility as an actress is evident in her ability to portray a wide range of characters, from strong, independent women to more traditional roles, making her a beloved figure in the industry. Over the years, she has continued to captivate audiences with her talent, grace, and commitment to her craft, securing her place as an enduring presence in cinema. Ladies and gentlemen, we need a huge round of applause for actor Madhoo. And please take your seat, please. Now I would like to welcome on stage Senior Advocate Mrunalini Deshmukh. Ma'am, can we have you on stage? And we need a huge round of applause for that. Senior Advocate Mrunalini Deshmukh graduated in economics and has a master's degree in law. Mrunalini is a renowned lawyer with professional experience in the field of law, family law, spanning over 2 decades. Ms. Mrunalini has been a professor of constitutional law and a visiting faculty at the Department of Law, Mumbai University. She belongs to a family of jurists and strongly believes in gender justice and is extremely sensitive about injustice and malpractices while actively propagating gender equality. She addresses an international conference on women's wealth, planning for global Indian families in Dubai. She has authored a book called Breaking Up, Your Guide to Getting Divorced. This book has an overview of the various laws with reference to marriage, divorce, child custody, and alimony. Ms. Mrunalini has handled various high-profile and illustrious cases, and most recently, she has spoken at the Columbia University on sexual and domestic violence in South Asia. Ladies and gentlemen, we need to applaud for the lady, Mrunalini. And our final power woman is Dr. Rishma Pai. Welcome, Dr. Rishma Pai, and please join us on stage. Dr. Rishma Pai is a highly esteemed obstetrician and gynecologist with a distinguished career spanning over 3 decades. Renowned for her expertise in reproduction medicine and infertility, Dr. Pai has been at the forefront of women's health, pioneering advanced treatment in assisted reproductive technology and IVF. She is a past president of the Federation of OBGYN Societies of India and the Indian Society of Assisted Reproduction, ISAR. Dr. Pai has been honored with several awards for her contribution to women's health, such as FIGO Women's Award at Paris and the Lifetime Achievement Award by Indian Society for Assisted Reproduction. As a prolific contributor to her field, she has organized 42 conferences and served as a speaker at over 500 national and international events, published 42 articles, and has been an invited speaker at prestigious forums worldwide. Dr. Rishma Pai is also a passionate advocate for youth empowerment through education and sports. She's actively involved in the YES, Youth Education and Sports initiative, where she promotes the importance of healthy lifestyle, mental well-being, and physical fitness among the younger generation. Ladies and gentlemen, we need to have a huge round of applause for Dr. Rishma Pai. Over to you, Madhu.
Good evening. Good evening, ladies. Good evening, friends. Good evening, few gentlemen that I see around here. I know I'm here for this wonderful evening to talk about, I was given the crimes against women. So I was preparing my mind on, these are the issues and keeping in mind what's going on in society, especially from our South Indian film industry. So I had all those emotions. And unlike Richa, I'm I'm somebody who just stays quiet. I feel that if I can't make a change, if I can't help a movement, then just, stand your space. That's me. And I had a lot of emotions to share. But I'm going to take another thing out of Richa, what she said, that I'm not going to apologize to take a few minutes for myself, even though it is about, we are going to talk about what you are doing as a part of the solution. But I want to talk about this evening before I start asking these wonderful ladies about them. Firstly, thank you so much, Karan, for having this event year after year. This is your 5th year. Many, many congratulations. And I've been a part of many, I think almost all. So thank you so much for that, yet again, for giving me this honor and moment to be here with you all again. Secondly, I truly believe that we are what we are after we say, I am. I am this, I am that, I am low, I am sad, I am unhappy, I am beautiful, I'm healthy, I'm grateful, and today it is I am woman. But what is the meaning of that woman, the definition of woman? Am I the scared, confused, unsure, that kind of a woman? Or I am sexy, strong, unapologetic, happy to be who I am, going to be what I'm becoming, happily proud, am I that woman? And I always thought that space is somehow decided by men. Why are we scared? I wanted to say a woman should be celebrated by man, and that's what Karan is doing today. We need many more such people who loves us, who honors us, who respects us, and we don't have to fight to exist. We exist because we are here. So these were the things that I wanted to share. But moving forward, what I thought that this was the thought I was going to share. But moving forward, when I came into this room, I didn't know that we were going to have some wonderful business women, highly successful achievers who are here, who are celebrated. And some of them are my friends with whom I party every evening, and they were here on stage when I walked in. I was so proud. I didn't feel the pain of crimes, but I felt the success and the joy of victory. So thank you for that. Then we had Chandni, Miss Chandni, who's here. She's so gorgeous. Every morning I wake up, I start listening to a podcast because our lives changes with voices, with what we hear, and our mindset. So I listen to podcasts and I'm making my shift. And here's a person who's lived that life. Her life is a voice which she shared with us. Her simple word that she just said, that Rohit asked her, "आप क्या change करना चाहेंगे?" And she said, मुझे सबके साथ कुछ नहीं करना, बस हर फैमिली में एक को पढ़ाना है. अगर एक भी एजुकेट हो जाए तो पूरी फैमिली उसकी सुधर जाएगी. And this is what I hear every morning, and this is a person who's lived that life. This room was inspired. I felt the power and energy with that. Then walks in our beautiful Richa. Great actor, great actress, we all know that. But her cool comfort, ease, and with which she spoke the most beautiful, magical. Everybody says, believe in yourself and all that, even I say that. But what she said, financial planning, every woman needs to hear that. So thank you for all your wise words. Thank you for this room. Thank you, Karan. And not to mention Zayed, proud man sitting in a room full of women and listening to every word. In the panel, I've attended quite a few such evenings where we know what we want to say, we know what we want to ask, but here you had somebody who truly understood and sensitive to the answers and the emotions, and truly you were raised in a feminist home. You're a true feminist. I've seen you in many such rooms, and you're wonderful. So thank you for being proud to be in a room full of women and celebrating us. Now, well, I had questions. We are always in question. When we are talking about crimes against women, it's only questions because we seem to have not found any answers. Year after year, the cases rise, the situations rise, and we keep asking questions. Let's come to the solution, part of the solution makers. We have the great Ms. Deshmukh and the great Ms. Dr. Pai. So I'm going to take it forward from that. But before that, I have a small little detail that I have to read it out to you. Crimes against women in India, these are the details that I've been given to just announce to everyone here. Crimes against women in India remain a pressing issue, with the latest National Crime Records Bureau report revealing that over 4.45 lakh cases were registered in 2022, averaging 51 cases per hour. This marks a 4% increase from 21. The majority of these crimes involved domestic violence with cruelty by husbands, relatives accounting for 31.4% of cases, followed by kidnapping, sexual assaults, and rape. Delhi recorded the highest rate of crime against women, with a significant number of cases also reported in Uttar Pradesh, Maharashtra, and Rajasthan. This data underscores the urgent need for stronger policies and societal interventions to curb violence against women across the country. So, now Ms. Mrunalini Deshmukh, this question is for you. Welcome. And what are the major legal challenges that women face when seeking justice for crimes like domestic violence, sexual harassment, and what should a woman do in this situation to protect herself?
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm extremely delighted to be here in this August gathering. Thank you, Karan. Thank you, Nitish, for inviting me and making me a part of this gorgeous evening. To answer your question, Madhu, the data that you just quoted is the statistics that is out. The numbers are much more. Please bear in mind that there are, I would say at least 3 times or 4 times, that's talking conservatively, which are the cases which are not reported, which are the cases where women do not go to the cop station, they do not go to the authorities of the sexual harassment at workplace, they do not go to the committee, which is the ICC committee, Internal Complaints Committee, to lodge their complaints, because there are too many taboos. And as women, most of them face those social, I would say, their personal or sometimes family taboos to really come out and sort of say that this is what has happened to me and I need justice. So that's point number 1. So as much as the audience may find the numbers very alarming, I'm sorry to say that's only the tip of the iceberg. Unfortunately, that's what the reality is. Now, your question is that there are various crimes against women. Now, I would like to categorize them in 2 or 3 cases. Number 1, there's domestic violence. So domestic violence as understood by a layperson is not what is understood by law. Domestic violence is not only physical violence in law, but it is mental, emotional, and financial violence. So if your partner or your husband or whatever relationship you are in is perpetrating this kind of a violence on you, it may not sort of augur to the audience here because most of them don't belong. But there are women who belong to the strata of the society where they don't even get the basic money to run their house. Now, this is financial violence on a woman. How is she supposed to run the house, feed the children, educate the children? So these are the various nuances of this. But coming back to the domestic violence with this, there are the laws, and there are laws, and there are laws. But really what happens is that though there are laws, the implementation and the execution, there's many a slip between the cup and the lip as far as domestic violence is concerned. The next important thing, because most of us over here are working women, and we work at different levels, she's a doctor, you are in the industry which is a glamour industry, I am in an industry which does fights for women and laws. And there are women who are in the corporate sector, or they're even working in other sectors. The sexual harassment at workplace today is one of the biggest problems that is eating up women. The reason for this, and with due respect to all the men here, and of course the men here do not belong to that category, and I'm saying this at the cost of repetition, they do not belong to that category, but this becomes when you objectify a woman. And a woman at your workplace is a matter of being an object, and you want to sort of, use her. Sorry for the words, to use her for your own pleasure. So to cater with these problems, and the most important thing in sexual harassment at workplace is the power equation. The power, say, of a boss with a person who is junior or who is a junior colleague. Now, with this power equation, comes the control. And with the control, the authority and the arrogance to cause sexual harassment to the woman. So it's this circle that needs to be dealt with. So after I'll just take a minute more. After the Nirbhaya case, which happened in 2012, and it was a horrific thing, gang rape, the girl was killed, etc. Major amendments were made in the criminal law. And there was a committee that was set up, and they made major arrangements, and they brought about amendment to the 2013 amendment to the criminal law. So today they have a lot of laws which talks about various things. It can be as simple as stalking a woman. It could be even, cyber crimes are so high. Today there is harassment which happens on Facebooks and other issues which are there. So today the courts and the law is very sensitive to these issues and is implementing to a large extent in a harsh way these laws against the perpetrators of the crime to bring about safety. But despite all this, my question is, what happened in Calcutta? I mean, how can you explain this? A young doctor, the way Abhaya is what they call her, is what has happened to her. Where is, if the woman is not safe, where do these rights come into existence? So I think we have to go down to the basics, and the basics is the safety of the woman, which is her inherent right, which is her fundamental right, and which has to be protected not only by herself, by being careful, etc., but by society at large, by giving her that kind of a control that, listen, we care for your safety, we honor your safety, we treasure your safety, and we will fight for it. Unless this spirit is brought about in the society and a societal change is brought about, laws will only remain on paper.
So that's exactly the question, ma'am. Why is it like that? How can we change that? Why is it not changing?
I would not say it's not changing, but it is not changing to the speed or to the way the crimes are going up. So the crime rate is going up, but the changes are not really matching with. And there are various reasons. Do we have less laws? The answer is no. Do we have insufficient mechanism to deal with the laws? Probably. Is the execution a problem as far as these laws are concerned? Yes, to a large extent. And lastly, and most importantly, I would say, a mindset needs to be brought about which needs to respect women. And what amazes me about Karan and Nitish are that they, being men, have valued the woman, treasured the woman, the womanhood in the woman, which is the most essential thing. So once this kind of a mindset which is there in these two boys comes around and it percolates down in the society, only then there will be an effective way to give sort of, a redressal to all the grievances which are there. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I was very...
Rights don't help. We need something much more than that, more realistic and more powerful than that.
Yes. Dr. Pai, coming to you. You are actively involved... Excuse me. I forgot to put my glasses. You're actively involved in initiatives promoting education and awareness around women's health. How can we better educate and empower young women about their reproductive health?
Thank you. Good evening to all of you. It's been a truly inspiring evening. Thank you, Karan. Thank you, Nitesh. Lots and lots of my very empowered friends are here. And sometimes what we are talking about, what Mrunalini is saying, what I'm saying, it doesn't apply to all of us. It seems unreal. It seems that it doesn't affect any of us. But the fact of the matter is, that even in India today, one of the fastest developing worlds, highly educated, we are, going to be one of the topmost countries in the world very soon. Education, and especially of women, and particularly about their health, is absolutely minuscule, non-existent. And there are many reasons for this. I think, I myself have experienced when, my kids used to go to school, and these are like some of the top-rated schools in India, and I have, as a gynecologist, gone to the management and said, I'd like to give a little bit of health education, to these young girls. And I have been very clearly told that you cannot approach or mention the word sex. You can only talk about menstrual hygiene, and that's about as far as you can go, because our parents object to this. And this is a personal experience played many times over. So I think as a doctor or as an educationist, you're going to do age-appropriate education. I'm not going to talk to a 6-year-old about something which is inappropriate. For her, it's good touch, bad touch. For young children, you talk to them about menstrual hygiene. As they grow older, maybe they go to college, you can talk about contraception, you can talk about protecting yourself from sexually transmitted infections. Like Mrunalini said, the pace is very different. Crime is increasing and the law is not keeping pace. Similarly with us, our country is changing. The moral code is changing. The girls today are very, very different from what they were when I started practice 30 years ago. The sexuality is changing, the openness, the attitudes, everything is changing. Once upon a time, they'd be embarrassed to say that they're sexually active outside of marriage. Today, if at 28 they've not had sex, they're ashamed. And they come and tell me that, doc, something is wrong with me. I'm a virgin at 28. That's how things are changing. But unfortunately, the education hasn't kept pace. The girls from very highly educated backgrounds come to me. When I talk to them, what are you using for contraception? I use an emergency pill. Emergency pill is not contraception. It's an emergency pill. They have never heard the word about regular contraceptive pills. They don't know how to protect themselves. So they are advancing in the world, aping the West, but along with it, the education is not keeping pace. So for that group of children or that group of girls at that age group, age-appropriate counseling. As you grow a little bit older, fertility. Believe me, today, girls are getting married very late, having children even later. But today, they have the opportunity, they have the empowerment to be able to decide when they want to have children, if they want to have children, how they want to have children. All of this is in their hands. But if they don't have that education, the knowledge, they can't do that. And so, all of you wonderful girls who are going out there making fabulous careers for yourself, you can keep your fertility on hold. You can preserve your fertility. And so we can give that information if provided they are willing to listen or coming out there to seek that information. So there's a lot of information out there, about polycystic ovarian syndrome, fibroids, disease, cancer prevention. But on the internet, for example, there's millions and millions of pages of information. How do you sieve that information? How do you curate it? And in our country, unfortunately, nobody goes out there to a doctor when they're well. They only go to a doctor when they're sick or they're, pregnant maybe. And every time I meet somebody socially in a party, they say, oh, we don't need you anymore. We already had our children. And I tell them, that's the time when you need me the most. Because children is natural. Even if you sit at home, you'll give birth to a baby. That will happen. But when you need the doctor is when you're actually in good health. Because they will then protect you and prevent you from ever getting unwell. So I think we are really lagging in education. We still are so narrow-minded in what we want to talk about and how we want to educate. So we have to use every medium in the book. Forums such as these, television, because a lot of India still sees television, internet, going to schools, going to colleges, everything. And basically open your mind to knowledge, open your mind to education. I think that will change everything.
That's right, open the mind. I have a question here. First, I'll ask you, ma'am, and the same question for you too. What is the best way to tackle and reduce the unfair treatment toward women, and how can we create a safer and fairer society for women?
It's a very good question, and I think the first answer the prima facie answer that I would like to give is a change in the mindset. And again, when I'm talking about this, I'm not talking about the men in this audience or our friends or colleagues which are there. We form only 20%. I'm talking about the rest of the 80% of the men who need to change their mindset to accept women as their, it's very good to say she's my better half, but actually if you don't give her that dignity and respect, where does it all come down to then? Thirdly, and more importantly, it is very, very important that today women, and Richa rightly said that maybe it sounds like cliched or something, that believe in yourself. Partly yes and partly no, because once we know that I am a woman, I have got my respect, I have got my status, I have got to be safe, that will give and empower her to take care of herself. Lastly, and more importantly, as far as there are laws and laws, as I said earlier also, there is legislation, but a societal change along with the legal change and the amendments to the law, if they go hand in hand, then that will bring about a more positive change and will give more safety to the women. It will give real empowerment in the real sense of the sense. Because we are talking about 80% of the women who are in tier 2 and tier 3 kind of cities. When the laws are made, they think about those situations, those women, and they have bigger challenges that they have to deal with than some like us, because we are fortunate enough to have education and society which accepts us and recognizes us as equal. But for those kind of women who come from 80% of that section, that is where the societal change and the legal change, if they go hand in hand, they will bring about a lot of change, is what I feel.
Lovely. Doctor, would you like to take that question?
I think we've focused a lot on women, that a woman has to do this, she has to be educated, she has to be empowered, she has to stand for her rights, she has to say, I need this, I want this, and don't be ashamed, etc. And that's all true. It's all very necessary for her to create a little niche for herself in this world. But what a lot of us are missing out on, and this percolates down to every single level of society, is the man. Sensitizing the man, sensitizing the young boy, sensitizing the growing up adult. They are the ones who are meting out injustice to women, if you will. They are the ones who are not giving their wives that respect or that equality which is needed. They are the ones who are causing injustice or rape or, doing ill treatment of women. So from the time that your child or your son is little, if we teach him how to respect his sister, his friend who's in school, his mother, and bring them up that way, I think that only will change the world. And sometimes I find this so, when I look at this Kolkata, issue, and it's a doctor girl, and it has broken our hearts. And just 2 days ago, we were all protesting, and she said, candlelights don't make a difference. We were shouting slogans. But it really, how is this going to help? It helps because I tell my son, and this is real, my son's a gynecologist, just become one. And literally every opportunity, so much so that he's fed up of hearing this from me, is that you have to be so sensitive to women. You have to be so careful how you deal with your colleagues, how you deal with people who are lower level, if you will, at you, how you deal with the staff, the ayabais, the nurses, continuously. This is what has to be done. That is what will bring about change. So if the men change, automatically their safety of women, the respect towards women will change. So that's the role every single woman has to do.
So that's funny, because even when we are talking about the mind shift that we desire in a man, it comes back to the woman, because as she's raising her sons, so the mindset at home starts at home. It becomes a responsibility of every single woman to make that shift in their son's mind. That's what it's coming down to. We like to believe that men need to respect, but in the house, to create a situation of equality between daughters and sons, that is a responsibility of a mother to start with. And also a strange question popped up in my mind. I don't know if this feels relevant. When you talk, okay, that is the primary responsibility of a mother at home to change the mindset when the baby is born. But how would you think, this is not a religious talk or anything, but spirituality and a focus on that, like that kind of introduction, that kind of education in school, or does that make any difference? Would it help in changing the mindset, starting at a very young age?
Absolutely. Value systems to be inculcated in the children, whether it's a boy or a girl, at a very, very nascent stage of their childhood, is extremely important. Now, this has nothing to do with a particular religion or any religious beliefs. It has just to do with belief of creating a good human being. Today, we are all focused as parents, and maybe I should take this also, that come on, study, you have to become a doctor, you have to become a lawyer, you have to become all these things, and motivate them and get the goals. Nothing wrong in it, because that's what we want our children to be. But with the same passion, if these value systems are also ingrained, and we are passionate about it in passing these value systems to the children, especially the men, as Rishma, or rightly, to the boys, as she rightly said, this will also bring about a lot of awareness. And today, I'm sorry to say, but with the social media and with such things which are sort of glaring and blaring all over, what really happens is a lot of garbage You know, kids are thrown in a lot of garbage, and there's very little filter that one can do to do that. So spirituality may be a little too early for them in that sense of the word, but yes, inculcating value system, and it begins at home with the way, because children do not like to be preached. They like to watch their parents behave in a manner if you want them to behave. So you cannot be preaching and say, listen, be a good boy, don't be rude to women, etc. But the man of the house is rude to the mother of the children. I mean, then what is the boy going to see? He's going to get confused. This is what you tell me and this is what I see. So today, the parents, I don't want to use the word role model because that's too heavy a word, but the parents have to watch their words, their actions, their conduct, even things like rage, if they have to inculcate these values of tolerance, patience, and respect in the children. This is what I believe.
And also, doctor, is there a psychological aspect that can be detected early in school or when they are young? The tendency, does a child display those kind of behavior that you can detect that this person may grow up to be violent later? Is that a thing?
I'm not a psychiatrist or a psychologist, but having said that, I think there are some mental conditions which will predispose a person to be having a little more violent behavior, if you will. But I think a lot, or much more of it, is environmental and upbringing and education. And sometimes I look down, and you see some of for example, a truck driver from some village, and their behavior, which is not what we want them to be. And you say, how do we send that education to that person there? He's been brought up in some slum, in some village, with a mother who doesn't know better, with they're working from day one. And how do you teach that child education or respect towards women, or not to do this, or this is bad? They don't even know probably good and bad. So maybe their spirituality has a little role. Maybe religion has a role. Bhagwan ke dar se shayad they will not do something which otherwise they don't know better. So like, for example, in my house, like I'm a Sikh married to a Hindu, but religion was never an issue. My kids are pretty neutral in their approach towards religion. But what Mrunalini said, I completely resonate with that the children grow up, and you don't even realize this, they grow up looking at their parents, and they literally look up, respect their parents, and want to be like them. So the image, the impression that you give to your children. I mean, I've heard, like, my daughter's very, very bright. She went to MIT. She's an engineer, computer science from there. And I heard her over speaking, talking one day, when I want to be just like my mother, she's so hardworking, people admire her. And I was quite surprised, because you don't think kids really are noticing all that. You are shouting at them, they are being so, not really giving you all this praise in the house. But the fact of the matter is that they are looking, they're seeing that their parents are hardworking, they're respectful, they are behaving in a certain fashion, and they emulate that. So I think we all have to lead by example. Religion is just a tool to make them behave in a certain fashion. But I think upbringing is most important.
Thank you so much, Doctor and ma'am, for addressing these questions. They were actually my personal questions. Coming back to this last question.
Your personal questions were way good, and I think the audience have definitely enjoyed that.
Yes, they were really my questions.
Yes, you did a very great job actually. You all answered from your heart, and we are very grateful for it. I think that questions were very good, and they're good to replace. We are good with the numbers right now.
Okay.
And since we are running on clock, we have to keep it short and crisp.
Okay.
But as I love the way you all concluded it to a fact which we all, actually, I am quite young to the people out here, so not to be in any offense, but in school we were taught charity begins at home. And this concluded right here. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Because addressing women who can support young men with that mindset. And thank you, Madhu. Your questions did really bring waves out here. Thank you so much. Can we have a huge round of applause for all the ladies? Thank you, ladies. Thank you so much. Now you all can take the seats. Thank you so much.